This might be the longest tag I've ever done, but I love the questions. Hey everyone, my name is April and I am doing the book recommendations tag today. I have kind of had this on my list, but the amount of questions on here is a little daunting. There's 20. Usually I'm used to like 10, 15, 12, 15 questions. This is definitely the longest one, but I love this tag. I love seeing everybody's recommendations, and I think everybody brings a lot of uniqueness to this tag specifically. So let's get into it. The first question is a book you tell people is your favorite, and I don't ever tell anybody anything other than this book. It was the book that got me into reading, and this is absolutely one of my favorites, Daughter of the Pirate King. It's just so fun, and it's like one of those quintessential swashbuckling pirate romances. It's YA, it's short, it's fun. I just love it. I love it so much. So yes, I tell people all the time to read this book, and I'm telling you right now, read this book if you haven't done it. It's just a good time. The second question is a book that is a guilty pleasure. I don't normally feel guilty about anything I read. However, I do think this series would fall into that category. It's the Shatter Me series. This is YA series that is so ridiculous and messy. It's like, why do I like this? I don't know, but I live for it. I've reread these so many times. Warner is amazing. Juliet is a mess, but I just love it. This is a dystopian YA romance, and it's just all over the place sometimes. All the books I rate differently, and I feel differently about them every time I read them. The original trilogy, I would say, is the best. However, I do kind of like book 4 and 5 from the second trilogy in this book, or in this series. So yeah, I think the Shatter Me series definitely fits this bill. Just kind of go into it not thinking it's like the greatest thing you've ever written, but it will definitely take you on a ride. The third question is a book everyone loved, but you didn't. I mean, I have a lot of these, right? However, for this one, I'm gonna say From Blood and Ash. I just could not get into it, and I thought it was a little boring. I read this on audiobook, so it could have very well been an audiobook thing. However, I just couldn't get into it. It just wasn't gripping me the way other fantasy romances have. And I think it's way too long for its own good. Like, I do have the second one, but I really just haven't felt like reading it. I just haven't. And only because I just really wasn't super into this one. I don't think it's bad in any ways. I just didn't love it as much as everyone else did. That's all. That's okay. Question number 4 is a book you read the fastest. And I would say for this one, No Getting Ogre You by M.L. Eliza. This is a Kindle Unlimited book, and it is an ogre romance, and he is like a lonely soft boy ogre, and it is a novella. However, I flew through this book. I flew through it because it is so sweet. You just have a girl who's out in the woods and she falls through a hole, and an ogre in an underground cave finds her and nurses her back to health. And then they fall in love together because he's just lonely and wants a friend. And they're so sweet. There's like a language barrier here. And I just loved everything about this book. It was so great. Question number 5 is a book that deserves more hype. And I constantly talk about this series. It's the only contemporary romance series that I even like, really. And that is Kelly Siskind's 50 Ways to Win Back Your Lover series. This is a small town romance series where these 5 brothers were immediately taken in the night and sent to witness protection because their father like laundered money from a cartel. So they're in witness protection for 10 or 11 years, And then after 11 years, everything has died down and they're trying to go back to their old lives and back to the women that they left behind. And I just love everything about these. Every single one of the brothers has their own unique voice and character, and they're so sweet. In this first one, E, he is kind of like the golden retriever brother, and he's just so kind and gentle and sweet, but also a little sassy. These are pretty spicy for me for contemporary romance, but not like overly spicy either. They're definitely just more of that sweet small town romance feel, and I think more people should be reading them. It's just quite enjoyable. Question number 6 is a book that is becoming a TV show or a movie. I don't know. Bridgerton? I know that already happened, but there's another season coming. I honestly don't keep up with a lot of the movie news. Someone just said City of Brass was being developed for a TV show. Obviously ACOTAR is, but who knows when those are even going to come out. Honestly, until there is a cast and they're actually filming, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, question number 7, a book that you have reread the most. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This book is just so funny. Every single bit of it is funny. I love the relationship in here, and I love the audiobook of this. I think I've read it physically once, but I reread the audiobook probably like 2 or 3 times, and I just freaking love it. Every bit of it. It's just one of those that, again, I don't read a lot of contemporary romance, but this one hit. Question number 8 is a book from a genre you don't typically read from. My recommendation for this one is going to be Near the Bone, and I can't remember the author's name right now, but it'll be on the screen. This is a thriller horror book, and it's set in a remote mountainside in the snow, and there is not only this definitely has a lot of trigger warnings, so go into it knowing that, but you have a girl who was basically groomed from a very young age by a man who stole her from her parents and killed her whole family. And he's gross, like he is gross, but there's more monsters on this mountain than just him. So she's not only trying to run away from him, but also run away from this monster. And it was just so good. So good. I loved it. I'm not a huge thriller horror reader, but this one was like, it really made me think, and I really made me want to read more from this author. Question number 9 is a book that deserves all the hype. Serpent and the Wings of the Night by Carissa Broadbent. I think it deserves all the hype. This is the vampire romance that you have been waiting for ever since Twilight, and it is better than Twilight. And it is also like all these trials and this enemies to lovers romance. It is so good. I think everyone who reads it that I know of loves it, and I think it's totally worth the hype. It definitely lives up to it. So definitely read this if you want a super hyped book, and just to see if you really like it or not, read this one. I think you will. Question number 10 is a book you usually recommend when being asked for a recommendation. This is a newer book that I recently read, but I have been recommending it along with everyone else, and it is Wolf and the Wildflower by Stacy Reed. This book is so great. The Duke is returned after several years spent being lost in the woods, and the heroine in this is a woman pretending to be a boy because of circumstances regarding her birth. And it is so great. She's a psychologist, or training to be a psychologist, and he's trying to re-immerse himself with the civilized world. And it is just a wonderful, wonderful love story. It is so great, and I think everybody should read it. Question number 11 is a book that has your favorite characters. Something Fabulous. Something Fabulous by Alexis Hall. Bonnie, and I listen, I always forget names of characters, but I remember their being, and I love every single one of these characters, specifically Arabella. Like, I just love her insanity. A lot of people don't like her, but I love her, and I love the main characters in this as well. Bonnie and Valentine, there you go. It hits me, it just hits my brain a little slower. All of these characters are lovely. I want to be friends with all of them, and yeah, Question number 12 is a book that you wish you could live in. I want to live in this world. I want to be just a fly on the wall in this world. I think it's so cute. I want to have a spice shop owned by someone named Cinnamon. I want to go to the tavern where she eats a love potion and a werewolf. I want to live here. This seems cozy enough, and there isn't a lot of like super high stakes. So I think I could actually make it in this world as long as I just like, you know, keep my head down. But yes, I would love to live in this world. Kimberly Lemming has created a wonderful, cozy fantasy romance with a bunch of different creatures and diverse characters. I love it. Question number 13 is a book that I thought I would hate, but I ended up loving. I'm going with Funny Feeling for this one by, I think, Tara DeWitt. This one, I totally didn't expect it to be as funny as it was, but also as heart-wrenching as it was. And I did end up giving it 5 stars, even though it made me cry. I don't like crying. So if it makes me cry, I often will not finish it. However, I had to finish this one and I still ended up giving it 5 stars. I think it was beautifully done. You have a comedian and her friend manager, and it's kind of like a friends to lovers romance, which also I don't typically like those. So it just hit all the right buttons and I loved it. I'm gonna go with the same book for question number 14, which is a book that made me cry. Again, Funny Feeling, it did make me cry and I sort of hate it for it, but I still also love it. Question number 15 is a book that you wish you could read again for the first time. I was gonna go with Akamath for this one. However, I'm just so tired of talking about Akamath. Like, we all know it's great, okay? We all know it's great and it's amazing. And I wish I could read it again for the first time. However, I'm gonna go with Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogel, just because this book was so unhinged that literally every single chapter was something else that surprised me, and I just loved it. I was cackling, I was laughing so hard, and everything was just over the top ridiculous in a way that I freaking love. I love a good unhinged, hilarious book, and this hit every single note for me. I want to read it again for the first time because I don't think the second time around is going to hit the same. And I wish I could be reading it again for the first time. Question number 16 is a book that could cure a slump. And for me, this one is going to be The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I always choose a funny book, especially if I feel like I'm going to be slumpy. I've never really been truly in a book slump. But I think that's always because I try to mix up my reading, and anything that makes me laugh is gonna pull me out of a book slump and make me wanna read more. So for this one, The Duchess Deal, Tessa Dare just has that wit and humor about her that I love, especially in historical romance, and this is a rom-com. I especially just love the beginning where he's a duke and he was jilted and the dressmaker comes to him and is like, give me my money, even though you didn't get married, I still deserve to be paid. And he's like, how about you be my duchess instead? And she was like, okay. And it just is so funny. I love Tessa Dare. She's one of the best historical romance writers. And this book definitely takes the cake, and I think it could cure any slump. Question number 17 is a book you think everyone should read. Everyone right now needs to read A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley and then slide into my DMs so we can talk about it, because I need to talk about this book with someone, specifically some specific scenes that happen that I loved. I need to just gush about them. I also need to know if you hate this book. Like, I just don't care. I don't care if you love it or you hate it. You need to come into my DMs right now. And if you have read this book, into the comments and let me know how you felt about it, because I loved it. It's my new obsession and I just need everyone to read it so I can talk about it with you. Question number 18 is a book that you think would make an amazing TV show. For sure, the Criminal Intentions series by Cole McCade needs to be a TV show. I would watch the shit out of this. They are two gay detectives trying to solve mysteries around the LGBTQ community. And they're exactly what you would think, sort of. They are grumpy and grumpier, trying to work together, even though they kind of like each other, but they need to remain professional the entire time. Like, I see this as the gay Mulder and Scully sometimes. Like, that's kind of how I feel about it. I love these two characters together. They both have so much depth as well, and I love the content that the crimes they're trying to solve as well, and how their brains work. I just think it's so fantastic, and I would love to see these two characters come to life on the screen. And I would like, I don't even like crime dramas, but I would watch the shit out of this, like seriously. Question number 19 is a book you wish everyone would give a shot, even if it's outside their comfort zone. And for this one, I pick Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. Not everybody is a dark romance reader, and not everybody is like a historical pirate romance reader. However, I think everyone, if given a shot, could love this. This is a book about finding love in the darkest depths of places, and also love coming out of nowhere. Like, it's just truly a wonderfully written book, and it makes you feel a lot of things, and you gotta give this a chance, even though if this isn't your cup of tea. I think you would love it. I think you could love it. Give it a shot if you haven't read it yet. It's truly, truly a wonderful book. Plus, how can you beat this cover? This cover is beautiful. I mean, just give it a chance for that alone. And question 20 is a book you will never forget. I will truly never forget this book because I literally have had dreams about it. It is one of my all-time favorite fantasy romances. I love the politics of it. I love the romance in it, and I love the setting of it. It's The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen. Daniel L. Jensen is one of my favorite authors, especially for fantasy adventure romances, because this truly is an adventure. I mean, you have a girl raised to be an assassin. She is also raised to be in an arranged marriage with a king from another court, and she's trying to infiltrate that kingdom and then steal it out from under him after killing him. And instead, she kind of falls in love with him after understanding a little bit more about what is exactly going on between these kingdoms. And it is just fantastic. I loved every bit of it. I also think the audiobook is wonderful. It has a lot of sound effects on it, and as well, it's an Audible original. However, there are physical copies out now of it because it's been out for quite a while. The latest book, the fourth book in this series, which follows a different couple, just came out in an Audible original. It's called The Endless War, and I'm dying to read it. I haven't yet. I kind of really like reading these physically and also listening to the audiobook. So it'll come out in November. However, if you haven't read The Bridge Kingdom yet, highly, highly recommend. I cannot forget about this. I cannot forget about Snake Island. I cannot forget about so much of this book, and it's truly one of my favorites. So there you go, all 20 questions from the book recommendations tag. I really loved trying to find books for this, and I hope you did too. Let me know if any of these are your favorite, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.